What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the boats reusing assets in God of War Ragnarok. So this was something that obviously was floating around the internet quite a bit, I believe really day one, right? So yes, we've had the discussions about the Norse mythology. People are talking about Kratos. People are talking about Fat Thor. I mean, there's a lot of different discussions you can have on God of War. But to me, one of the most interesting ones, and ones that I honestly have quite a bit to say about it, is that reusing asset one. So what am I talking about? If you guys didn't see it, basically, when the trailer came out, it was it's the entire kind of animation of Kratos pushing the boat into the water with Atreus, and he jumps in kind of as the boat goes in the water. Okay, you guys know what I'm talking about? That's what we're talking about. And it is, I mean, I'm not going to lie, and this is kind of the whole point of the argument, it's literally the same thing as God of War. They're reusing assets, okay? And what you had was, I don't want to single one person out. Definitely, I don't want people attacking this guy. I mean, he has a right to his opinion, just like we have the right to our opinion, but you don't really have the right to attack or threaten or, you know, like his family or him, something like that. But I think it really was just one person on Twitter, and it blew up. I'm sure there were supporters to it, and there was a lot of people that didn't agree with it. But basically, he called it out. He posted a tweet and said, like, wow, like, they're reusing, like, it's, like, lazy. You know what I mean? Laziness, or it's not, it's not pushed as much. You know what I mean? There's not as many new things as maybe one would expect in a new game for Ragnarok. And again, that had a lot of discussion, mainly on Twitter, hell on earth, as some people would call it, right? So here's the thing. I'm going to say a lot of things I think a lot of people would probably agree with, and I'm also going to throw in some things that maybe would be something that you wouldn't necessarily think I'll say. So the first thing I'll say is I don't really have a problem at all with them, you know, reusing this asset. I think specifically, actually, after listening to Corey and Eric talk about this game, I do like the idea of it being this kind of two-part adventure where you could play them almost back-to-back. Now, I don't actually think you should play these games literally like in the same couple days, because that's like probably will be like a 40, 50, 60-hour thing. But you could, and you would get the entirety of this, you know, section of the journey of these, I guess, section of Kratos' journey, but the entire journey of these two characters in the Norse mythology. Okay, you could do that. And there is something actually very special to that and very cool about that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either, where things are going to feel, and even look, in some senses, familiar. Now, also what they were saying is, like, they try to make things that were old, like what you saw in 2018, new again, right? What was old is now new, because maybe it's got just something a little bit different about it. That's also good. So with all of that stuff being said, and honestly, it's not much, but I will say, it's fine. I guess also an argument being made, you know, in the fact that, like, this is okay, is like, well, you know, these are just things that take time. You know what I mean? If you were to completely build the game again from the ground up for Ragnarok, it would take substantially longer than it is. I mean, you'd be waiting several more years. Something just as simple as pushing a boat into a water is not, is not a big deal. So that's another, and I actually do agree with that. Though I guess the only thing I really have to say in opposition of it, you know, I've talked about my opinions on PS4 and PS5, you know, and it's a very unpopular opinion that I do think this game should have been a PS5 exclusive, and it's hard, and I know, and people can catch you on this, people can catch me on this, I understand that. Even for, like, Horizon, I will say, this is outside of the boat-pushing asset, okay? I would say that seeing Ragnarok, it was very similar to 2018. Again, I understand it. I don't really think there's anything wrong with it. It's not going to stop the game from being, like, one of the best games of the year or one of the best games of the generation. I have so much faith and confidence, because really they haven't steered us wrong, at least yet. Maybe they will, but hopefully not, right? So I have a lot of confidence in them. But what I will say is there's just a part of me, and again, I can't really put my finger on it, that does believe these games could have been helped if they were, again, like, built from the ground up is not the right term, right? Because under no circumstance would they be built from the ground up. But if they were fully just for PS5 instead of also for PS4, there's just a part of me that believes that you are holding the game back a little bit. And again, there's no, like, I can't quantify, I can't show you numbers on that, you know what I mean? I feel like there was another level that both Horizon and God of War could have reached if it was only built on PS5, okay? And again, I'm not even talking about this. It's just kind of a side opinion I wanted to throw in because it's really got nothing to do with pushing a boat. Because again, like those things would stay in the game. You know, I'm not expecting them to build an entire game from the ground up for me for the PS5 only. You know what I mean? That's not really what I think would happen if you did make the game only for PS5. So that's really the only thing I'd like to throw in is I will, again, to be flat out honest, I will say I actually like the trailer more and more. Like, I've watched it several times now. I like it more now than I even did when it was shown at the PlayStation Showcase because I will say it did feel so familiar that it kind of came off the wrong way. But I will say, watching it over and over again, number one, it actually does impress me just generally more as time has gone on, and number two, I'm actually completely okay with it being familiar because it's a I don't even know what the right term would be, but it's a nice like counterpart. That's probably not the right word, but it's a nice like partner to the first game, and I think that's all you really need this game to be. I think just generally when you see 4 years, and that's, you know, again, like I don't want to attack this guy. I don't think this guy deserves death threats and stuff like that because maybe, you know, I could understand, you know, you look at this game and it's like, well, it's been 4 years. By the time it comes out, it'll have been 4.5 years since 2018. And if it looks very much the same, again, like in terms of visuals, in terms of like pushing a boat into the, like if that stuff looks pretty much the same, I could see how you would pick on it. However, here's the thing: I could see it, but I would never do it. I personally don't think that that's fair to the game. I would say, final thing I will say in this video, I think there's other things, not necessarily right now because we haven't played the game, but these are generally the stupid-ish things that people get mad about online for games, right? There was the thing, and I don't remember if it was for like Halo or Crisis or whatever game it was, but there was where the person was like shooting a watermelon, he was like shooting a fruit, and like the pieces, they weren't blowing off of. Basically, it was like making fun of a game where it was like, oh, this game came out now, and it doesn't have these kind of dynamic features where things blow up, kind of spontaneous. Like if you shoot part of a watermelon, it'll like pop out. Whereas this game 5, 6, 7 years ago, it does it. Those are the, like, I really don't like those kind of criticisms. Not necessarily because they're invalid, because I guess you can pick on them. If you really feel like that watermelon should explode, again, like it's your freedom to say it, go ahead and say it. But I just think, really in any game, even quote-unquote perfect games, which there really aren't any, there's always something else you could criticize, something probably more valid or something that really maybe needs to be talked about more. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just kind of a sense I get where it's like, why are we talking? And I don't even remember the game, but if it was a Halo, why are we talking about like a fruit exploding when you could talk about characters or story or like those kind of, like, why? And honestly, again, like, so we can't really do that now for Ragnarok because the game's not out yet, but again, like, if people are going to complain about reusing assets and even how I was saying, right? Say you say, oh, the game looks too similar to 2018 and maybe that comes off the wrong way. You have a right to say that. I don't really think there's anything wrong because it's actually just pointing out an observation, but number one, I think it's fine. I think games are going to do that, specifically when you start to max out how much you can go. That could be another reason, right? You can only push the PS4 so far. And again, I'm not saying that has really nothing to do with reusing assets. They're just going to do that because why fix what's not broken? It looks fine. It works fine. Why waste more time from the development team to like make a new boat pushing animation? It doesn't really make sense. But when the game comes out, like, hopefully we're not talking about that. If there are issues with this game, those are like big issues. Story, characters, major plot decisions, right? They've had, not Sony Santa Monica, but like we've had problems in the past where like The Last of Us Part 2 was, nobody's really going to deny it, really an incredible game all around in terms of visuals, in terms of performance, in terms of just attention to detail. There's very few games, if any, that can beat it. But what people will praise that, which is fine, but let's talk about the story decisions, which is more of a controversial thing to do. People have a lot of problems with that, and people got yelled at a lot for that. But, like, those are the things I think we should be talking about more. So we'll see for Ragnarok. I hope people aren't talking about boat pushing animations. We should be talking about things that are maybe a little bit more important, but it is the internet. We have to remember that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you want to support us on Twitter or subscribe to our second channel or support us through Patreon or YouTube memberships, the links for all three of those are in the description below. Thank you for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all on the next video.